Hi, this is my Lab 1 charged tape. Introduction. The main idea of this lab was to determine charges of charged tape along with their effects on each other. The main concepts of this lab includes charges, positive or negative, which explains what type of attractive force the tape has, whether it's attractive or repulsive, electric force, the type of force that's being exerted based on the charge of the particles, which is given by the formula right there. Electron deficit, which is the ratio of electrons lost or gained to the total number of atoms, and gravitational force, which is the attractive force between any two masses. My initials, I had my links were a little off just because I was doing this experiment at home, and I wanted to get the tape the second piece of tape kind of smaller than the first one, just so it was easier to get it to interact and kind of get underneath it, which is why there's a 5 centimeter difference. My weights were 0.02 grams and 0.015 grams, and the distance when there was a float kind of between the two was 5 centimeters. My brief overview is that the tape is positively charged and has a charge of 2.35 times 10 to the negative 8 coulombs with a total number of 1.47 times 10 to the negative 11 excess electrons. Experiment. The procedure was to create a base tape by laying and smoothing a piece of tape on the surface, smooth another piece of tape on the base tape and remove it, and repeat so that there's 2 pieces of charged tape. Lay one of the tapes on 2 elevated surfaces, creating a bridge between the 2 surfaces, and hold up the second piece of tape to the bridge, and the bridge tape will start to move up. This is just a short video of my experiment. As you can see, that top tape is kind of moving up. Here, the system is the U-tape, which is the tape on the boxes. The surrounding is the other piece of tape, and everything else. The initial conditions, as you can see, was the tape sitting on top of the experiment is holding the second piece up. Here's my evaluation. What are the charges of the tape? They are positively charged. When placed near a charged pen, the tape moved towards the negatively charged pen. And the force body diagram on the floating tape, I just primarily focused on the electric charge, which is moving in the positive y direction, and gravity, which is in the negative y direction. Here is my calculations to find the amount of charge on the 1U tape. I started off by finding the magnitude of gravity, which was 1.696 newtons. And to kind of get this, the charge, what I did was equal out it will set the gravity to the electric charge and then isolate for the Q value, which gave me the 2.35 times 10 to the negative 8 coulombs. And calculating excess electrons, you just divide the charge by the charge of an electron, which gave me 1.47 times 10 to the negative electrons. Here's my code. They matched my results relatively well. As you can see here, we started off with our constants, source charges, and the function here was just to get the magnitude of the r vector, and then the r hat, and then turn around and use that to create an observation point. Yeah. And I will say that the code matches relatively well, but it is off by a couple of decimals. Possible errors. I didn't conduct the lab experiment in lab, so there's a chance my procedure may have been a little off. There's a chance of the humidity also causing a lack of attraction or repulsion. The questions: what if electrons had been positively charged and protons had negative charge? What would change about the observation you made with your tapes and other charged objects? I don't think there would be any change other than the label, just because that with a charged pen, there would still be an attraction because there's 2 opposite charges, and then with the 2 pieces of tape there would still be a repulsion because they're similar charges. And then the second question is, why is it important to handle the charged tape as little as possible? What happens when the charged tape comes in contact with your hands or other objects? When the tape interacts with other objects, there's a chance that it may lose its charge. I had this happen to me a couple of times during the experiment when trying to figure it out, and I noticed that, anytime I would put my hand up on it to see that it would attract towards my hand, sometimes it would move after it had previously moved, so there could be a lack of charge or very weak attraction or repelling. In conclusion, this lab demonstrates how different and similar charges interact with one another. The results of the lab show the tape is positively charged and has a charge of 2.35 times 10 to the negative 8 coulombs, with a total number of 1.47 times 10 to the negative 11 excess electrons.